Good morning, good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. Do another live feed today. You'll find that during these live feeds, I repeat myself a lot because there's different people, different times popping on to these live feeds often, and so I kind of like to reintroduce myself and let folks know just what we're talking about today. So we'll just give it a few seconds before we get some folks in here before I begin the topic. And I kind of like doing these. And a lot of times these live feeds kind of get sparked due to comments a lot of times. So whether that's about a particular watch, whether it's a question, just really depends on the comment. And I'm actually kind of glad this one comment got posted today. It was about basically calling me a sellout, an Invicta sellout. So I want to address that. Again, to make a live video, some folks may say, "Oh, that must have really bothered you to make a video." No, it's the opportunity for more content and to also set the record straight with this channel and of course the watch community in general. So we got about 3 people in the room today. If you've discovered this video based on the title, it seems like a lot of times my subscribers or folks will pop into the chat when I mention watches or Invicta watches. Just I guess the way the YouTube algorithm works. So today, again, talking about a comment I got. One guy had commented on my channel, "Hey, do you still like Invicta watches?" And I always find it really interesting when folks send me comments a lot of times and don't even bother to take the time to even look at the channel. Now I get it; people are busy, totally understand, I guess, but I just feel like I guess I'm not the kind of person, at least I try not to be, to just like make statements or ask questions that I can easily find the answer to or research, right? I think it's pretty safe to assume that Fat Cat Collections, although this channel doesn't show up really high under Invicta Watches anymore, under that term Invicta Watch Review, and that's kind of unfortunate. When the channel first started, a lot of folks discovered the channel and started watching because of the Invicta content. And I made the decision years ago to branch off. And let's face it, I'm going to be totally 100% real with you guys. Anybody who has a YouTube channel does it for one reason. Well, a couple of reasons, right? But some folks, I don't buy the nonsense of people just being like, I want to be part of the community and share what I love. That's all part of it, right? But let's face it, we start YouTube channels to make money. This is a business. People start YouTube channels to make money and then to possibly collaborate with other with companies. This is a marketing channel, right? And that's what YouTube is. Very rarely do you find, even if you have a channel that's putting up content in order to solve a common problem. Like I watch lots of content on YouTube when I'm trying to learn how to fix something, right? Something breaks. I'm like, all right, let me look at a few videos. If you're mechanically inclined, that can kind of point you in the right direction, right? Everybody watches YouTube for different reasons, but no matter what, at the end of the day, even if somebody's putting up content to try to help somebody solve a problem, we're doing it strictly for views, strictly for YouTube ad revenue, and for collaborations with brands. That's the whole point. If there was no monetary value with and anybody tells you differently, there are YouTubers out there that I even enjoy watching. They're like, "Oh, I'm not doing this for the money." They claim their channel's not monetized. And I mean, that's fine. I think that's really stupid. If you're going to make a channel and spend the time putting stuff up there, it's kind of like this high and mighty attitude that, oh, well, I'm not monetized, so what I say holds more water. Or if I'm not monetized, I'm not making any money, I'm honest, and the person who is making money on YouTube is dishonest, right? And complete nonsense. You can still have integrity. You can be honest with people. You can point out the good and the bad with products. At least in my case, this is what I do: is review products with integrity and create some kind of community, right, with your channel. But anybody who says that, "Oh, I don't do YouTube because I'm only here for the community," is just full of shit, in my opinion. Everybody's doing YouTube for one reason: that's to make money, right? I mean, why else would you do it? Now, I'm not going to call out any channels, but that's straight up real talk. Now, as far as the comment that I got the other day, and again, this is not like, I'm not mad about it. People are going to say what they're going to say. Uh, I have enough confidence in myself and on this channel. I know what I'm doing here. I'm always honest with you guys. This is a business. If you like my channel, watch it. If you don't, you don't have to. Nobody's twisting your arm to do so. If you find value in my content and you discover a watch that, it's like, I never heard about that, and you make a purchase through my links, they're all affiliate links. 99% of the time when you click a link in my channel in the description or a pop-up, It's an affiliate link. That's full disclosure. It's not hiding anything, and I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody making a small commission after providing some value and some information. If, of course, if you don't want to use the link, nobody's twisting your arm, nobody's forcing you to click it. You can always go to the manufacturer's website direct. So, and I have no way of knowing whether you do or don't, but usually if you take advantage of the coupon codes, you'll save a little money. So it's a win-win for everybody. Now, the comments, since we've got 7 people in here, I don't know who's in the chat room today. Might be random people, might be people that like me, might be people that hate me. Regardless, you're all welcome. I appreciate you stopping by. And the comment mainly we're going to be talking about today is the Invicta watches. One guy asked me, he says, hey, are you not into Invicta anymore, right? And that seems to be what I see, not just, well, a lot of folks, what I found with other YouTube channels is, and I'm not calling out any channels, I'm not, naming anybody, I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but a lot of folks consider the Invicta brand as a gateway watch. And I've never agreed with that at all. I think that anybody who says that has really just kind of, I feel like they have sold out, right? And there are folks out there who love the Invicta brand, who talk highly about the Invicta brand, and deep down still love the Invicta brand. But when they get around that upper class level of people in the watch community, in quotes, like I always joke and do, those other brands that are, let's face it, much more respected in that watch community, in that world of snobs, as I call them, they feel guilty admitting that they really like the Invicta brand. They'll be like, I used to like Invicta. I used to be an Invicta fanboy. I'm straight on a record here. I'll always be an Invicta fanboy. I love watches across the board completely. So any idiot who gets on my page, and there's nothing wrong with questions, don't get me wrong, right? This guy, I would have preferred this guy to actually look at the content, right? And I can see if you looked at my content and you said, oh, you're not into Invicta anymore. You haven't reviewed one in 5 years. I'm constantly reviewing Invicta watches. I just don't buy as many because when I'm collaborating with brands like Oceaniva, right now Dartmouth brands, which is a whole 5 different brands under their I guess parent company. For me to spend my own money on a watch, I have a lot of Invictas. It's not like I sold all my Invicta watches and just am like, oh, Invicta sucks now. I've progressed. The gateway watch. I've progressed into wanting a Rolex now. Invicta is a fantastic brand. I'll never stop wearing Invicta. Do I wear the giant Sea Hunters as much? I have like close to 300 watches, so I don't wear them as much because I don't. I've had different jobs over the years where it would work for me to wear a 58 millimeter or 70 millimeter watch to work. It wasn't something getting banged around. It was a different kind of job. Whereas now I'm not going to wear something like that because I am very physical and very active in what I'm doing. And I just don't want to damage the watches. But I'll tell you, when I'm going to a casino and I want to be a little flashy, I'll put Invicta's going on the wrist. Aragon, some of the Aragon, same thing. It just depends on my mood. But I wholeheartedly love the Invicta brand. And whether they've never sent me free watches, it doesn't mean I'm not going to still buy those watches. It just means how many Sea Hunters can I possibly own, right? I have 3 of them, I 4 of them actually. For me to buy another Sea Hunter, it's got to be something extremely different that they haven't done. Let's face it, if you follow Invicta watches, that Invicta a lot of times they come out with a certain model and you'll see lots of variations of that model, and then they start to sell out that model. And then after a while, they just kind of stop producing new variations. You'll never see that with like the Pro Diver, because I think the Pro Diver, again, I don't have any evidence to back this up, but I think the Pro Diver is probably Invicta's most popular model just because it appeals to the masses. Let's face it, whether we like Rolex or not, arguably it's iconic in the watch world, and it's a very well-respected brand, and it's a great quality brand. My gripe with Rolex, I wouldn't even call it a gripe, I'm just not going to spend that kind of money on a watch that I know isn't going to bring me any more enjoyment than $100 Invicta Pro Diver or an Oceaniva or a Sterling or a Filippo Loretti. There's not enough of a difference in quality for me personally that I can ever rationalize spending that much money. It's just never going to happen, right? Unless I win the Powerball or something like that, then you have to actually play the Powerball. But I don't, my dad plays, so maybe my dad will win. But that's be the only circumstance, and maybe I would own a Rolex where money just becomes, something that doesn't matter anymore. You don't have to work for it. It's you're not going to be taken away from a different purchase to get this other item. Rolex does nothing for me. And I pick on Rolex, but it's Rolex, it's AP, it's any of those super expensive Hublots, all those luxury brands that, in my opinion, yes, the quality is great, right? Under macro lens, but side by side, compared to an Aragon and Invicta, specific models, right? So you're not going to see any difference. I mean, let me just, that is subjective. Somebody might say, oh, this bracelet feels a little looser, or I like this bezel action. There's so much that's subjective in reviewing watches and discussing quality. It's just, for me personally, I'll never rationalize ever buying any of those brands. Doesn't matter, unless I'm filthy rich, and then I probably still wouldn't anyway. But you can't really, we can't say that 100% certainty because I'm not filthy rich, right, at all. So, but when this guy asked, "Hey, are you not into Invicta anymore?" Just because a person misses a video, like, you can look at my channel and I'm reviewing, I probably say about 4 to 5 Invicta watches per year. I haven't even gone back to ones that I've owned for like 6+ years to re-review for fresh content. I will eventually, it's on my list, but I'm so busy with other brands coming in. There's always a product coming into my office that I have to review. There's only so many hours in the day, right? So I am going to come back to those. But had this person actually really followed the channel and said, "Oh, you just don't review Invicta anymore," like, dude, I just reviewed one last week. The Gladiator midsize, right? So another guy commented on there and said, "No, that Fat Cat collection sold out. I only recommend watches I get for free now," which I don't know how you could even come up with that. I have to kind of question this guy's mentality. You have to be sort of brain dead. And this is kind of like the problem with society. People just like let their minds run, and then their mouth moves way faster than them actually like thinking about something before they say it. If you're going to try to call not just me, but anybody out on something, you should specifically look at their content and see what they're saying about this. I can't even count the number of times that I compare like Nubeo to Invicta and say, "Hey, this is a great brand, but is it as affordable as like an Invicta?" No, but affordability is subjective. Like, if you have, 50, 60 Invicta watches, you may not want another Invicta. Kind of where I'm at. There's so many that I have. There's a lot of stuff Invicta does that I'm not a fan of. I'm not into the Marvel stuff, and I'm not into some of the ones that are super over the top. And I can't even, like, that's subjective too. I can't really give you the exact watch that I don't like, but there are some, like, for instance, here, the newest Sea Hunter. I don't like it. It's not my style. I personally don't like the design. I'm not going to buy it. If we want to look at some of the iconic, amazing designs by Invicta, the Venom, the Sea Hunter, the Sub Aqua Specialty is my favorite Invicta model. I have like 6 of those things. Sea Hunters, I got 4. Grand Octanes, I had like 8. Now I have like, I think, 6. So the list goes on and on with the Invictas that I own. And if I have an Invicta watch that I bought maybe at one time, and I've said this in other videos, let's say I had an Invicta watch and they had like a deal on Shop HQ or Invicta stores. Perfect example of what I'm thinking is like the Thunderbolt. When that came out, I was like, "Oh man, I gotta have that." And I didn't have a lot of gold watches in my collection at the time. So it was like, at that time, I wanted it. But then when I got it, started wearing it, there's other watches that are gold by Invicta or other brands, and I found myself wearing more. And if I buy a watch, whether it's something I was gifted or sent to me as a collaboration, or if it's something that I purchased my own money, if I don't wear it and it's in good condition and I can get my money back or make a little money, I'm going to throw it on eBay and try to do so I can maybe get a different watch. A perfect example of a watch that I recently sold was one of my Grand Octanes by Invicta. It was the Mother of Pearl and Tiger Eye checkered pattern. When I bought it, I just thought it was awesome. But then as I owned it for a while, it's rose tone, and it just was one that I didn't wear all that much. So I ended up selling it, ended up getting a different Invicta. But right now, I have a few watches I'm trying to get rid of, and the reason I am is because there's a couple Invictas I want. There is if you've been watching me for a while, you guys know I've said many times I'm not really a green fan, but whatever reason, the yellow and green, that gold and green, just really calls to me. And there was a Gladiator I really wanted. They sold out. And now they have the Helios, which I want the Helios in my collection, but just in that color. So if I'm able to sell a different watch I don't wear so much and get that one and the price is right, I'll buy it. Right now the price is like 190 on it. It was 149 last week. 149 I'll rationalize for an Invicta, right? At this point in my life with what I have. And back in the day, I would go as high as $400 for an Invicta or for a watch in general. At this point, because I have so many, I'm probably not going to drop $400 on a watch. There's too many other things. I want to get a lift kit for my truck I've been talking about. I want to get bigger tires, that kind of stuff. And just honestly putting money away for a rainy day. Like for instance, getting sick the last couple of weeks with COVID. That luckily I had money put away that I can afford to take this time off work and not be scrambling to pay the bills, right? So I mean, there are things that we all want to spend our money on, but just because, and this is part of the problem with not just, and I'm going to address the Invicta fanboys here as well. And I say fanboy, that's a terminology that we all hear. It's basically a derogatory comment about somebody who collects Invicta, and you could use that with Rolex. I use it. A lot of guys use it. I try not to use it, but it came out of my mouth. So, but it's derogatory in the means that fanboys are kind of like what I think of as like teeny boppers, right? When you had the teeny bopper magazine back in like the 80s, whatever, and you'd have like some pop star on there and all the girls go crazy. And no matter what, they're just in love with that person. That's all they can think about. They're obsessed about it. And that's kind of like where the word fanboy comes from, in my opinion. So when I say Invicta fanboy, there's guys who love Invicta, like the guy who commented, who, because I haven't put up as much Invicta content, I've suddenly sold out. And now everything that I say about other watches is just BS. And that's just not the case. Now, this is just one person of these 60,000 views that I get every single month across the channel. But I want to make that clear because people need to, in general, with all brands, whatever you like, and this is what I don't like about the Invicta community as well, the Invicta family, as they call it. Family is a big word. And again, you live your life how you want. I can't, we all have our different views, right? When I hear the word family, I have one family in this world and very specific people in that family. And those are the people that I care about. The rest of the world, I'm not going to call somebody family when there's some random dude on YouTube that we get together with once in a while and talk Invicta Watches. That's not family. And again, if somebody considers that family, I kind of feel bad for their real family, because that to me is an insult. It's like calling somebody, oh, that's my friend. What about this guy? You've been friends with for 20 years. I take the words friend, love, loyalty, and family extremely seriously, and I don't throw those words around loosely. And with the Invicta folks, and I'm not saying all of them, and I'm not trying to insult the Invicta folks, but this is kind of the part of the problem with people who become part of a group. It's like, and I felt it too with the Invicta community because I work with other brands, because I haven't collaborated with other Invicta collectors, because I didn't give shout outs on my channel for specific YouTubers. Suddenly now I'm a hater, And so this is kind of the problem with any group of people who gets involved in like a hobby. It's an us against them attitude. Again, I'm very aggressive and I come back at people and I don't let anybody get away with nonsense. If you're going to drop a comment on my channel, you're going to get a response. There are a few occasions where if it's just something ridiculous and silly, I'll just delete it, right? But every comment gets held. And if I feel like it's something generally I need to address, I will. And I think that across the board, watches are meant to be, I guess this is my opinion, but this is meant to be fun. I find a watch a piece of jewelry. It's an accessory. And although, don't get it twisted, I don't dislike luxury brands at all. I think they're, it's just another watch in the world of watches for people to own and enjoy. My problem with luxury brands has always been the attitude that comes along with owning those brands. And it's not all of them. There's lots of people who collect Invicta who also own Rolex, and those people will tell you the same thing. I love my Rolex, but my Invicta gets the attention, And I can wholeheartedly state that of all the watches I review, very rarely do I have something where I'm like, all right, this is an inferior quality, right? This is less quality than your Pro Diver. When you start looking at brands like Invicta, like Aragon, like Bulova, like Movado, like Doxa, like Aquadive, Alexander, Sterling, there's always going to be little tiny differences in quality. And Rolex, right? When we compare Rolex side by side to a $100 watch, Pagani design, of course there's going to be little slight differences. If you were to flip, like say a Pagani design, that's really like a one-to-one Rolex homage, right? Whereas Invicta kind of does their own thing a little bit with the engraving on the side, or they'll use different materials. When we're looking at ceramic bezel insert, Seiko NH35, Pagani design, 316 stainless steel, we compare it side by side with the Rolex. Naturally, if you put that under like 200 times magnification or even a jeweler's loupe, you're going to see probably some attention to detail in the Rolex that's a cut above, right? It's just that's just the way it is, right? The way that the quality control, the finishing, they do everything in house, and they do everything in house. Just because in house doesn't make it better. What makes it better in the quality control is because every aspect of the watch has been looked at by somebody from Rolex who's looking to have that watch adhere to a certain standard. If we have an NH35 going into a Pagani design, Pagani may make that case from a third party, and I don't know this, but I'm assuming like a third party factory is producing the cases and the bracelets, and many other brand names are going on. That's why it's funny when people like this type, when YouTubers out there, it's full of shit YouTubers, this Tyvese could possibly be the best sub 100 Submariner. It's like, dude, that Tyvese, or not the Tyvese, what is it? Not Tyvese, what is it? Tyvese is really entry level, but I have one. It's not horrible for 20 bucks, not horrible. But I forget the name of it. Not Steel Dive. It's I'm drawing a blank. But one of those Chinese brand AliExpress, Amazon companies, they're like, oh, this is by far the best. This is untouchable. This is amazing. It's like, dude, that's no different than a Pagani, a Bersagar, all the other brands that are popping up on Chinese websites with just different names on the same watch. They're always going to be different. Some might have Miyota, some might have a Miyota, some might have the NH35, some might have, there's tons of a Seagull. It just depends on the exact watch, what they put together, and the brand. But across the board, the quality is the same. And now, if we were to compare that to like a Rolex Submariner, I can guarantee you, if you open up the clasp, look at the bracelet, the Submariner, most likely under macro to the naked eye, I think you're going to be hard pressed to see the difference. But you might find the tolerances are a little tighter on Rolex, right? Maybe a little less jiggly, right? When we look at maybe, and again, finishing, I always think finishing, when we're looking at a brushed finish, that just depends. You can't really say one if it's using a finer brushing as opposed to a more of a grainier brushing, that one is better than other. They're just different. It's what you associate of being better quality is the one you're going to say is better quality, right? If you were to not have any brand names and look at two types of 316 stainless steels finish and look at those, you might say, oh, this one's got more of a finer finish, or this is a sandblasted finish. So I'm associating this as being a higher quality when really just it's you like the way it looks better. But when you go throwing the name on there, that's when people are like, oh, this is the Rolex, this is better. You can see it's different. And they'll make an excuse for why that finish is better. Again, guarantees if you were to look at how the bracelet's finished underneath on the clasp, of course, that dive extension, that the mechanics on that bracelet are going to be much better than like your traditional Paganis. Movement, arguably, NH35 is a pretty good movement. I don't really know if you can necessarily say one is better than other. I think if you're going to put money on it and say, hey, which watch is more reliable, which is there less of an opportunity for something to go wrong? Of course, Rolex has been looked at with a fine tooth comb more, but that doesn't mean it's a guarantee, right? And I, again, wholeheartedly, of close to 300 watches, I haven't had anything fail other than one of my Invictas where the back was actually cross-threaded from the factory. I should have sent it back. I just didn't. And that one does leak, right? I could probably take it off and reseat it, but I don't know. I'm not too concerned with it. It was $100 watch, right? There's so many other ones. It's not a big deal. But when you look at all the other watches, I had a Sterling watch, the silicone bracelet just disintegrate, like not even wearing it. But other than that, I can't think of any other issue I had with any other brands. And some folks will say, oh, well, you only have inexpensive watches. Well, I mean, I don't think Aquadive, I always bring up Aquadive because it is one of the more expensive brands. Aquadive is like a $2,000 watch. If you look at the watch community, you'll see people giving that watch an amazing review, just like Doxus are always regarded highly, right? I saw Teddy Balthasar, or whatever his name is, the other day reviewing, some watches that are sub or affordable dive watches, right? Dox is like $2,000, saying how great the Dox is. Like, dude, the Dox is no better than the Aquadive. And honestly, the Aquadive is like, I mean, you have to nitpick it to say it's better than a $65 Pro Diver. I mean, when you're looking at the watch, the lume is better. Absolutely. I think the lume is something you'll see on a lot of watches, and you can kind of, I won't say use as a gauge of quality, because I can also say my Steel Dive, or is it Steel the Tactical? No, Steel Dive, Captain Willard homage. Um, that watch, that lume is just as nice on that. Sorry, FedEx. That the lume on that watch is just as nice as the Aquadive. $2,000 versus like $100. So people just fail to understand that there's markup with all these different brands. And as a brand has become more and more successful and been and achieved a level of reputation, they can charge more and more for their watches. And that's, again, that's just the reality of watches and what you're getting for your money. If you're, of course, if you're going to be using something like gold, with a luxury brand, naturally it's going to be more expensive. What's really interesting too about the watch community is that for years people were like, "Oh, Rolex is an investment. You buy a Rolex, you're going to make money." Now we see those same. This is where integrity comes in. We see those same YouTubers out there now stating, "Yep, the watch market's tanked, and now like they're not worth as much." I think the Time Teller did one the other day. I didn't watch it, but that was the title of the video. So it's like now we have these people now backpedaling and saying something completely different, right? Same thing with like guys like that who will review a watch like a Spinnaker, for instance. I love Spinnaker watches, right? They're awesome. I have several of them. Of course, that's a brand I collaborate with. But still, when we look at a Spinnaker, one of my favorite Spinnakers, the Dumas, I just put up a video doing some close-ups of that watch. One of my favorite Spinnaker watches, one of my favorite watches, hands down. Very vintage style, diver, just classic, right? Love it. That watch is no better than your $80 Pro Diver or your Tactical Frog. They're both exceptional watches. You might associate the watch being a little nicer because it has a milled clasp as opposed to a lot of the Pro Divers that have a stamped clasp. It looks nice, but one's not going to last longer than another. The movement, again, NH35. If you get a quartz Pro Diver, yeah, I'm going to lean towards the NH35 as well. But the quality is there on both watches, and people need to understand that a lot of what you watch on YouTube is entertainment. It's a lot of guys are going after, and that's probably why my channel is not as popular as those channels, because I'm going to keep it real with what I like and what I honestly believe, and not give you guys a bunch of horse shit. You can't have a YouTuber come out there and preach about how great Rolex, Invicta sucks, and then go and review a Spinnaker watch and say how great it is when you just shat on the Invicta. They're both exceptional timepieces. So you're lying about something. Either you don't like the Spinnaker or you don't like the Invicta. But there is a lie being told there. Because it's not consistent with the quality that I see with these watches. And I have close to 300 watches. And getting back to, just because I don't, for you, some of you guys just popped in, this mainly started this conversation because I was told by, and again, this is just a comment sometimes can spark conversation, right? So I was told that I don't review Invicta anymore because I'm a sellout and I don't get free watches by Invicta. Had the guy just looked at 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago at my most recent Invicta video, where I'm constantly telling people how great the Invicta brand is. But I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, well, this Nubeo watch costs 500, but this Invicta is 99, so you should buy the Invicta." I'm not going to recommend a watch solely based on price. I'm going to give you guys all the information, and then as grown adults, you make the determination on what you value. Maybe, again, I always say that a lot of times when I'm looking at different watch brands in non-Invicta or Aragon, because I have a lot of them. So I'm not going to go shopping a lot of times for the next Invicta. I'm trying to find maybe a different brand to get on the channel, or a different brand just to own. Again, my situation is a little different because I do have the luxury and the opportunity to get a lot of free watches. But I've said it before, you guys will never see me one day go owning a Rolex and then saying how, "Oh, well, I use," like a lot of guys do, "I use Invicta as my gateway watch." It's when I didn't know anything about watches, and the brand doesn't deserve that. Most brands don't deserve that, because wholeheartedly, a lot of the folks who are making these statements about quality either have they're vested in a website, they're trying to push the higher end brands, and honestly, with YouTube, Rolex watches get searched more than anything as far in the world of watches. I can't think of another brand that gets searched that much. I can look at my own content. When you go throwing in Rolex Submariner, those videos will always get more views than any of the other ones. And it's unfortunate with the YouTube algorithm. All the 1,300 plus videos I have, I think there's like 300 Invicta videos on there. And a lot of it's old content and some is new content. There's always new content. But those videos back in the day, when I put up an Invicta video, it was like, bam, right at the top of the list. And I think a lot of times, the way the YouTube algorithm works, it's going to recommend channels specifically about watch content. I think that, the way that these videos get scrubbed, and I don't know this, but I believe that if your channel is constantly talking about watches, which mine does a lot, but also smart home tech and leather jackets and stereo systems, and my channel is a little bit of a collection of different things that I review and different brands. Anything that I'm into, I try to share it. And it's amazing that of my most popular videos, watches are not the most popular thing on this channel, but that is the item that I have the most videos of. Now, let me just catch up on some of the comments here, as I always do, and answer some questions. I did ramble on for a while. Starting with the top, and I do this because a lot of folks are listening to this almost like a podcast. So, El Reparador, sorry, man. I was just wishing to see a live stream for you, and with the hot subject, the Invicta subject. Yes, sir. I'm glad you made it. I hope you're still in the chat. Got 15 people here. Is pretty good. Sundays might be a good day to do these. Another gentleman just said his name is S. I want to buy an Invicta, but I'm from India, and delivery charges are too, brother. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, man, I get people approach me all the time, and hey, can you ship it? I don't do that. You'll have to find somebody who sells it. There's lots of I believe like an Indian eBay. I'm sure there's Invictas on there. You want it, you got to pay for it. I'm not really sure what else to say on that. Elle just said one problem with Invicta expensive ones is that when you bought a $400 one in the past, it's sad to see how they are half the price new. That honestly, that just depends. So he just basically stating that it's sad to see if you spend $400 on a watch by Invicta that new models might come out for half that. That really just depends, and that's just kind of as the brand has become more and more popular and Invicta pumps out more and more models. I paid upwards of $400 for like my yellow gold and silver Grand Octane. At that time, when I bought it, there wasn't many Grand Octane variations. I bought it for 400 because I was like, hey, again, this is where value is subjective. It was I wanted it, and so I got it. But then years later, I bought Grand Octanes for 138 in different colors, and then of course, that same color combination, different model number came out maybe 200. That's just kind of the way it is. Supply and demand and timing is everything. And really, I wouldn't call it sad. It's just the way everything is. But what's important is to not just state that, to not make for people to make completely overgeneralized statements like, oh, you don't make money on Invicta, you'll lose money as soon as you buy it. That's not the case. I've made money on Invicta watches that I've sold. My Grand Octane, I think I sold it for like $3. I paid $130 for it. So you get it low enough, you can flip it. That's not my goal in why I buy watches, and I don't think it should really be anybody's goal in flipping Invictas. I've dealt with like Bulldog Enterprise and guys on eBay who are big time Invicta sellers who got out of it just because there's not enough margin anymore. By the time you're done paying shipping, PayPal fees, and now let's say eBay fees and eBay transfer fees, since they kind of, they don't really like generally eBay handles the payment processing now and they don't use PayPal. Maybe you still can use PayPal. At least for anything I sell, eBay takes, it's like 15% to sell something on eBay. So already you're with Invicta selling direct to the public with Invicta stores and Shop HQ, whatever agreement they have. It's pretty hard to beat those websites, especially with the coupons and the sales they have. But you'll see eBay is a good place for Invictas, or really any brand, but mainly, like since we're talking Invictas, that it's a one that you've been wanting to get, you didn't get it, and now you're looking for it. You can't find it on Invicta stores, and you might find it on eBay for a good price. I bought what was it? My Quartz Akula, $67. I won on the bid. I did end up selling it for like 180 because I didn't wear it, but I got it for such a cheap price. I made a little money on it, bought something else. So, but yeah, I get it, like my Zeus Bolt diamond black with the diamond bezel. I paid like, that was the most expensive Victa. It was like close to $5. And it went on sale for like $2 something, But now, if you were to try to buy it, you're gonna be close. You're gonna be over $5. So it just depends, It is what it is. That's the way things work. Time Machine, welcome, my man. Time Machine, Eddie. Sorry, man. I know you popped in here before. I just want to catch up on the comments here. He said, Invicta and Aragon are amazing quality watch. They're tough. I burned through so many Seikos when I was young. It was humbling, paying $300 to $400 back in the day. Yeah, Eddie's one of those guys who has Rolex and has a lot of these brands that the watch snobs will say, oh, it's a respected watch. Eddie's had his experience with these brands. And he also said, geez, I have 2 battery Invicta limited large 48 Pro divers. Do batteries ever die? Mine are at least 5 years old, maybe 10. Yeah, some of the batteries that are used in some of those quartz movements in Invicta watches are not like the little button battery. They're much larger. It's like the Casio G-Shocks. You use almost like a keychain fob remote. I don't know if it's all of them, but they're huge and they last forever. So pretty incredible. And with Invictus, really with any watch, do so at your own risk. Don't blame me for anything happening. But I keep the crown out in all my quartz watches. And I have Invictas that are well over 5 years old with the same battery. So the Ronda movements specifically state on their website that by pulling the crown, it's okay. And that pulling the crown will save you 70% battery life, which is incredible. I've heard other people, you get dust in there. It's like, dude, I don't know where you live, but unless you live out in the middle of the desert in a tent, I don't think you have to worry about dust in your house. Because these watches, especially the Rondas and the Invictas, that even regular watches, there's still a seal in there. Don't take it diving. But even with the crown out, many watches still have an element of water resistance and dust resistance. So, yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. But it's a good thing to do to save your battery life. AZ, what up, man? He said, never thought myself a fanboy, though at one point I had almost 100 Invictas. That's a nice collection. I have bought it down to 12. Wow, that's quite a difference. I prefer the more conservative design. The sub 3 was my favorite, owned 15 at one time. Yeah, and some folks do, and I don't mean to state that that anybody who changes their style is a sellout at all. I think that as grown adults, we are allowed to say, hey, I like this, and then down the road, or whether it be a day or a year or whatever, is to say like, hey, my style changed, or I prefer this now, without somebody coming back and saying, oh, you sold out. When I mean sell out, I mean for those folks who recommended Invicta and now suddenly have changed their tune. Maybe they recommended Invicta and now they've discovered other brands, and their attitude isn't like, oh well, I just decided I prefer smaller watches. Now my style changed. It's okay for style to change. I have Jinko jeans from the early '90s that I'm not going to wear anymore, right? Now, who's to say that style won't come back for me? I don't think it will, but styles do change, and we can look at that throughout human history. That's the part of life. There's nothing wrong with style changing, but it'd be like AZ being like, oh, Invicta's shit now because I wear Rolex, and making up a statement isn't necessarily true, right? Style change is totally acceptable, and as grown adults, we can and wear what we want. We don't need anybody else's approval, but I think it's important to be honest about that. Nothing wrong with style changing, but it'd be like me one day. Again, one could call me a sellout if one day I was like, oh, the Nubeo quality is so much better than Invicta. An Aragon, you don't want to spend your money on that. You want to buy Nubeo because I'm collaborating with them. That's a sellout, not somebody who just happens to have a lot of watches in their collection and are working with different brands on their marketing. I wear all these watches. They all get wrist time. Like my Aragon, I got on my wrist today. It'd be like somebody saying I sold out on Aragon too. It's like I have many Aragons. I'm always recommending these brands, So, Ishan, welcome. He just said, "What do you think of Olves watches?" Let me Google. I've never heard of Olves watches. Olves watches. Let's take a look. Looks like this might be a Hong Kong-based brand. Let's take a look at what they got, folks. All right, so right off the bat, from what I can tell, again, this is just my assessment just on their website. This to me looks like one of the many brands you're gonna see all over AliExpress and Amazon. I've never had my hands on these, but based on what I'm seeing, I think this is generally one of those brands that when you compare this is a perfect example. And again, I'm just guessing here, and this isn't meant to generalize every model, because sometimes, just like Invicta, you go looking at, and I hate using the price to make this determination, but on average, go look at the $30, $40, $50 Invicta watches and compare them to like a reserve level, Grand Octane. There is a difference in the quality that you can feel. But something like this, they may make ones that are better than others. So I don't want to overgeneralize, but to me, this looks like more of what I would consider more of your entry level watches, where if you compare this to a Rolex, there is going to be a night and day difference. But there's also going to be a night and day difference if you compare these watches to a simple Grand Diver or a simple Pro Diver, or any reserve level Invicta, or a Steel Dive or a Seiko. there is a difference there. But again, that's just my assessment. I can't wholeheartedly say that's 100%. Like this one here says tourbillon automatic. This is not a tourbillon. So one thing that bothers me a little bit about a site like this is when you look at companies saying this is a tourbillon, it doesn't even have an open heart, but this is not a tourbillon. This is a standard regular automatic watch. Now, when I look at like one of their 6650 luxury waterproof, there's nothing waterproof. Water resistant is the proper way of describing that. This to me looks like what you're going to get with a Tyvese. And Tyvese are $20 watches. I have one over there, $20, Submariner. That watch, there is a difference between that $20 watch and a $65 Pro Diver. I mean, absolutely. So, but again, you never know. I'll reach out to them, see if I can get something. But AZ just said, wearing my Pro Diver 9937OB, which many mistake for the 8926OB. Yeah, I probably don't. I'm sure I don't know the difference either. The 9937OB houses the Sellita SW200 as opposed to probably the NH35. Yep, and I have Sellita movements, and I can wholeheartedly state I see no difference. They all tell time, but I get it is kind of cool. You think, because probably on paper the Sellita is probably a better movement, but let's face it, all these things do is tell time. But I get it. I do think it's cool to have like different movements in my collection, whether it be a Valjoux, Miota, NH series, or the Sellitas. So I have several Sellitas as well. But yeah, man, there's something that I think that, like, I talk about those check boxes with quality, because again, I say quality in quotes because it's not really an indicator of quality. Like an H35 can be regulated plus 1, -1 seconds, right? So it's not an indicator of quality. But I do get that in the watch world, a Sellita is a more respected movement. If I'm making any sense by saying that, but I get it. Which one has my Sellita? I think my Oceaniva, Oceaniva. Deep Marine 2 has the Sellita, and I have several other ones. A couple of Valjoux, a couple of tourbillons. Cliff just said, welcome, Cliff. He says Aragon is quality. I think he said Aragon quality is awesome in design and price. Yeah, Aragon's great, but I don't think Aragon's any better than Invicta. Again, the inexpensive Aragon's had some shitty watches too, like the Halo watch for females. I reviewed that one back in the day. My coworker got it. It's just like not even stainless. It's like a plated metal of some sort. She was wearing off the plating already on it, So basic quartz watch. Aragon does make the entry level stuff, but I do notice lately Aragon's kind of gotten away from those really cheap watches. And kind of moving more towards that like reserve level quality. But when I compare like my Aragon Millipede, just picked this one up about a month ago. Love it. NH35, beautiful watch. Been wanting it in my collection for a while. 316 stainless steel. Compare this to my Invicta reserve level, Grand Diver, Sea Hunter, Zeus, bolts, all those. There's no difference in quality. And sometimes I almost feel like the Aragon, is I don't know. I just feel like the Aragon, probably because it's a dual push button deployed clasp, it's a little more jingly. But that's again not an indicator of quality at all. But I get it though. Anybody who's in the market and you're like, I get why people may or may not buy things, whether I agree or not. But some folks may say, I don't want to buy Invicta. Check out Aragon. I mean, these are all great brands, and I don't think anybody's going to get one or the other. And I feel like a lot of times people make recommendations based on what they prefer. I don't see any quality differences between Invicta reserve level. Just when I say reserve, I mean like your Sea Hunters, your Zeus bolts, your Venom. Let's just use Venom as kind of a bar. You compare a Venom with a Aragon. I see no difference in quality, and I like them both just as much. Cliff just said he's wearing his Millipede Evo GMT. Yes, sir. I don't have the GMT Evo. I have like I think 3 Millipedes now, and I probably won't get another Millipede just because I have the 3 of them. This is the only Millipede I really wanted with that kind of aqua turquoise face and that glass bezel with the lume. It's a stunning piece, and I got it for the right price, like $150. Like you can't go wrong with that pricing. Like that's insane. Because when you compare, for instance, here's a perfect example. Compare my Bulova Octava, right, with the black Swarovski crystals. Nice watch, right? But that watch right now is selling for close to like, I think like $400. that Octava can't hold its own to this. Like it's just not the. It's nice, but it's just the quality differences here. You get so much more bang for your buck. I mean, and that can be said with anytime you go with a luxury or a more of a department store brand. I consider Bulova more of a department store brand. I do consider Invicta more. They're not micro brand. I definitely consider Aragon micro brand because you're not going to find them like in brick and mortar stores. But and I like Bulova. Don't get me wrong. I have the Precisionist, but $750 for a Precisionist nowadays. If you go into like K Jeweler, there's no difference in quality. But yet the Bulova will get the respect, by those watch snobs. Trey, welcome, my man. He just said, I've been wanting to ask you your view on. Oh my God! Seriously, dude? Seriously, you need to rewind at a later date because your question's already been answered for the last 45 minutes, sir. Yeah, folks, you can by all means chime in. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I already discussed that. That this whole video is mainly about that. And had you just your statement really is just kind of made without doing any research or even taking the time to look. Like I just did an Invicta video about a month ago, so I don't, I addressed this already in the video. You'll just have to go back and watch it. I don't buy as many Invictas because I collaborate with so many different brands and I have like over 50 Invictas, I think. So, I mean, how many more, just because I like the Invicta brand doesn't mean I want every watch Invicta makes. If Invicta makes a watch like the Helios, the green and gold that really calls me, hell yeah, I want to add that to my collection. The Gladiator I just got for my birthday a couple months ago, or whenever I actually did the video on that. The one I just did the video on, I think it's about a month. Rose gold, yellow gold, Gladiator, female version, but it's actually mid-size. Love that watch. Just did a review on that. And I feel like sometimes people, I just wish they would, before making those kind of comments and assuming that, you would just look at the content. Because if you just looked at the content, you'd see that I just put up a video on Invicta. So I feel like, and I'm not trying to fault you. We're all busy. I get it. But I do feel like a lot of people don't even bother to look at. Like it's amazing too. Some people be like, "I didn't know you reviewed Invicta." It's like, dude, I have 300 videos. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the YouTube algorithm. I don't get it. But I think I answered that question, man. I love Invicta. It's a fantastic brand. I'll always recommend Invicta. I don't recommend like for instance, let me just go to the Invicta stores website. There's actually a watch by Invicta I've been eyeballing. It's not available yet, or I missed it. The whole thing is done in green crystals. Pro Diver. It is sick. 375 a little steep. I won't be spending 375 for it, but hopefully it comes out and hopefully you can get it for maybe 150 bucks. All right, so let me just look at men's. I'm just gonna go to men's watches here, and we're just gonna look at lowest priced watches. So when we look at watches like, and these are, I don't mean to bash these, but like here, Invicta Aviator 38980, 32 bucks. If you pick up this Invicta, let me find this one. All right, here. I just want to find something on bracelet. 36 millimeter steel Lewis Cardinals watch, 42952, $35. That watch is an incredible value for $35. But if you compare that watch to, even the 99370B, Pro Diver, or any reserve level piece, you are going to feel a difference. If you compare this watch to a Rolex, it's going to be a substantial difference. Okay. So these are the watches I stay away from by Invicta. It doesn't mean these aren't amazing values. It just means they're not the quality level that I want to see in a watch. And I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to quality, but I'm not going to spend 35 on these. They're just, I just don't see them being nice enough. There is one though here that I've been eyeballing for a while, the Invicta Speedway Pink and Baby Blue, 43096, only 40 bucks. I know the quality is not going to be reserve level in that, but that still looks like a pretty decent piece. So you have to give each watch kind of a fair handshake and just kind of take it as they come. But again, man, I hope I answered your question, Trey. I don't know where you got that from because in the last like year and a half, I bought like 4 Invicta watches. So just check out the channel, my man. El just said, can you do reviews of the camera you use, not the surveillance camera? Man, my camera, right now I'm using just like a basic HD webcam for the live feeds. And then I'm surprised anybody would ask me that because I feel like my video quality isn't really all that great. But I use what do I got here? A Canon $200 camcorder. Uh, yeah, HD CMOS. I don't even know anything about it. There's no model on it. Somewhere there's a model on it, but that's what I use. A $299 camcorder with a aftermarket Amazon wide angle lens. The camera you're watching me on now is just a webcam. And so when I'm watching myself and I upload these videos, I generally am surprised when I watch them on a big screen TV. Like sometimes my family, I'll be like, "Look at this ridiculous video again." Like, it's pretty. I think I'm pretty funny, so I find myself laughing at myself sometimes. And we'll watch the video just to like when I did the stocking hat review. Like, so I was hilarious in that. And I wanted to show my folks who we watched it on the 65 and I was amazed, like, wow, that the picture quality looks great. So my computer monitors are 32-inch Scepter monitors. They're curved widescreen. They're great monitors, but their quality is not. I don't think they're HD because if they are, they're like 720. They just always look a little grainy to me. They work for what I do, but they're not crystal clear. So I'm always surprised why anybody would want to know what. I'm always looking to ask people what they use for their video recording equipment because I feel like mine can definitely use some improvements. But that's what I use. Um, yeah, and the surveillance cameras too. Here's another kind of pet peeve of mine. People are like, "Oh, you didn't show the video footage." It's like, dude, you can't tell the video quality looking it through like either your cell phone or it doesn't make any sense. But all right, so let me just read another one here. Isan just said, "Are the reserve Invictus the better buys all Invictus?" No, I don't think it's the reserve level is meant to be a better buy. He says he's new here. The reserve level Invictas are supposed to be like the next level of quality with Invicta. The problem with that is that Invicta, even with their names, they're so loose. And I think because they make so many different models, they don't really adhere to a strict standard with using that reserve title. I feel like they did maybe 10 years ago a little more. Now, I just feel like reserve level, you just have to kind of take each watch as they come. Reserve's supposed to be the higher level of quality. So when you look at reserve compared to this Speedway I just mentioned, the 43096, there should be a noticeable difference there, and I think there is, but that's generally I always recommend just to eliminate any kind of like disappointment with people. I feel like when people have Invicta and they're like I had Invicta, it was garbage. I feel like they went with the $39 watch. They didn't go with their reserve level piece because I feel like if you did, then you can't wholeheartly make that statement and be honest about it because I know what I know quality and judgment, all this stuff is subjective, but I I don't. I've been reviewing watches a long time, and I'm really into watches, and I just don't see a lot of difference between $2,000 watches or $10,000 watches and $200 watches. There are differences, but they're really going to have to be under a macro lens, and some like I mentioned the clasp, you might see some difference in the clasp, but when you look at the overall quality, the argument that you're going to pick up a reserve level Invicta, whether you like the way it looks or not, and compare it to a Rolex, and then make the statement this other watch is a shitter to me is nothing more than a bold-faced lie. There's nobody who's more like refined to tell the quality differences. It's just not there. You have to make that up. So I just don't. I don't buy it. It's all scam to me. And like I said, if you stick to, I think if you stick to reserve level Invictas or most of the Aragons, even Bulova, same thing. Precisionist and Octava, those are two different watches. There is a quality difference. It doesn't make one a shitter, but the Octava feels more like what I would consider like a fashion watch, like a Kenneth Cole, a Fossil, one of those brands. When you look at the Bulova, you're more of like, you know, Tissot, Omega. To me, that's the difference you get. So I hope I answered that question here. But again, getting back to whether I like Invicta or not, I just hope that folks. And I know in a fast-moving world, people just kind of comment, things pop into their head, and I think that's kind of like the problem with society nowadays is people just like it's okay to have like these thoughts and these questions, but I just think like a lot of times people just they don't bother to like even take the time. To me, I feel like it's an insult of somebody's time to not actually like go look before you make a statement. I mean, I'm not saying I'm offended, but I do kind of feel like, if I can find the answer on my own without asking, I'm going to go that route first. Then if I can't find it, I'm going to share it, or I'm going to ask it and try to get the answer. So I just feel like a lot of times people are very lazy, and I feel, yeah, it's very simple. Hey, does Fat Cat review Invicta? You don't review him anymore. Let me go look at his content, and you can see that I do. So I think that anybody who calls me a sellout for Invicta, I've been one of the biggest Invicta advocates for the watch brand. I've been reviewing Invictas longer than most people have even owned Invictas. So I got in early doing that stuff, and I love the brand then. I love the brand now. I just, I'm probably not going to add another Venom to my collection. I have three of them. Probably not going to add another hybrid. I have two of them. Probably not going to add another Sea Hunter. I have four of them. I may even sell one of them. So, the Helios definitely on my list. Let me catch up here. AZ just said, in my opinion, Victa has watered down the prestige of the reserve line. I completely agree with you on that. Absolutely. Pseudo, welcome. He says most on internet are edgy boys trying to say something triggering. If you highlight it too much, they will never stop. No, man, I'm not worried about what anybody who's been watching my channel knows I don't really give a shit about what people say, but I don't let people get away with stuff either. It doesn't mean that every comment I'm going to make a video on. I just, sometimes I feel like it might spark some good conversation, so I'll make a video. But I don't live in a world of being fearful somebody might, and even the word triggering, I don't even like that word, because people nowadays, they think like if you defend your stance that you were triggered, and how are you acting like that? It's like I love Mike Tyson's quote, and I'm probably gonna screw this up, but he said everybody's got an opinion until they get punched in the face. Now I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Badass and I condone violence. I'm not saying, I'm just stating, but that's kind of that idea is is truth. That's real talk. And people are very mouthy until they get punched in the face. And like, oh, maybe I should have thought about that before I opened my mouth and said that. And I feel like it's just like when Tyson, some folks were, remember the guy was heckling him on the plane and he started slapping the shit out of the guy. It's like some people were like saying how, oh, Tyson shouldn't have done that. It's like I live my life the kind of way that, like, if you have a pit bull or a dog and the dog's really, really nice dog, who's laying on the carpet, mind his own business, and you keep like smacking the shit out of the dog, and then you get bit, you can't blame the dog anymore. Like, leave the fucking dog alone. And so I feel like that's kind of a lot of guys. There are a lot of miserable people in the world. We look at our society, and people love to get on the internet, and it's people like to try to bully people. The difference is, if you tried to bully me when I was younger, like, you got punched in the face. And nowadays, though, people can hide behind. And again, I'm not trying to condone violence, but sometimes there's only one thing a bully understands, in my opinion. And I feel like nowadays people can get online, try to put others down, and then it must do something for their ego, because they're just miserable people. I mean, the world is full of them. So, but I also don't let people get away with spreading fake news and saying things that are not true. I may not spend, the whole day making a video. I may not keep going. I may just say, all right, this guy is you're not going to get anywhere with these idiots. There's idiots in the world, and sometimes it's not worth your time having any kind of reasonable conversation with these people. So, hammer them back and then, kick them to the curb. That's really all you can do. Cliff just said, I see it every day at work asking for things that are right in front of their face. They don't want to do the work. They want it to be done for them, lazy, expect. Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, it's just the world we live in nowadays. And I think that every generation, as we get older, every generation says that about the new generation. So there's part of that, right? But I do feel like we do live in a world that is a lot different, and that's just the way things are constantly moving, constantly changing. There's just nothing we can do about it. Just try to be the best people you can be honest, and I don't know. I try to be a good person, and I'm always honest, even if you don't like what you're going to get. But in being respectful, I don't, respectful people's time, and I don't. Anyway, Uh, Pseudo just said, I believe we are getting back to those days. Consequences for your actions. I don't know. Hopefully. Let's see here. I'll tell you right now, anytime I've made a mistake, I sure as hell have been held accountable for it. I feel like I always get in trouble. So, all right, Cliff just said, common sense is a virtue nowadays. Yeah, yeah. But there's lots of people with common sense out there too. I mean, absolutely. But there's a lot, of course, without just the way it is. I just feel like you kind of have to constantly check people. I went to Taco Bell the other day. I was so my taste buds have been gone from this COVID, and it's just starting. It's been literally 2 weeks as of yesterday. This has affected me, and I wanted some Taco Bell, and because the taste buds are just starting to come back. And I went through Taco Bell, and I said to the guy, I said, "Is everything in the bag?" And I said to him, he kept asking me. I was like, "All right, I'll take a chicken soft taco. Do you want to add X double meat? Nope, nope, just the way it comes. Do you want to add jalapenos? Nope, just the way it comes. I said, do you want to add extra sauce? Nope, just the way it comes. Next item. I'll take chicken. He asked me, he's being a wise ass, asked me the same thing over and over again. But you don't fuck with people. Just be nice. Don't fuck with people making your food. And so I get up to to pick up the food. I said, hey, I looked in the bag. Is everything in there, right? Oh yeah, everything's in there. I again got home and he forgot my burrito supreme. I'm so pissed. But that's it is what it is. Nobody takes a lot of people don't take pride in what they're doing. But all right, let me just read this here. Schema, welcome, man. What a fat cat. Keep doing your thing. Love the reviews. Thanks, man. I always appreciate the compliment. You guys, as soon as I do these reviews and these discussions, I'm like, do people because I don't get the views on the watches anymore. I mean, some videos go viral or not viral. Some videos do a lot better. Like my most popular videos are the hot tub video, the spy cam video, the Wrangler jean video. Which I consider videos that wouldn't have done very well, and they continue to kill. But you throw up a cool new Invicta video, and then people are telling me I don't do Invicta reviews anymore. So it's just like whatever. And I feel like the Invicta community is kind of like a little bit like a cult too. Like I feel like Fat Cat Collections is a little bit when it comes to the YouTubers in Invicta. I feel like Fat Cat Collections is a little bit of an outcast in that regard. And you know what I say? Anybody who don't like Fat Cat Collections, fuck them. That's what I say. So it is what it is. We're all different. We all like different things, and you're required to like me. So I do appreciate when folks do find value in what I take the time to do. Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. Jesse, what up, man? He just said, hey, man, just wanted to say thanks for introducing me to the world of more affordable arm candy. Much appreciated. I love hearing that, man, because again, if you go to YouTube and you search Invicta Watch Review or Invicta Watches, let's just go. Now, again, these results are going to be more, again, catered to, the algorithm caters to you, the user. So, but we just type in Invicta watches. So let's say you're like, hey man, I'm checking out this Invicta. I want to get one. Let me see what people have to say about it. Here we get this guy, the Mad Watch Collector, killing it on YouTube. Why I don't know. I try to look at these guys, and I'm like, this is not. How is this guy this popular? But he kills it. 93,000 views in 2 months about the Invicta, and he doesn't. But I like him because he doesn't cut the brand down. He's just gives his honest opinion, not cutting it down at all. Here's me on the live feed, recommended to myself. Then we have some shorts in there, and then of course here's the time teller, the fucking worst one to be popping up. Is Invicta as good as a Rolex? What do you think this clown's going to say? Another one, the time teller. Reason no one will take Invicta watches seriously. Um, Nonsense. Perth Watch. I think I've watched a few of his videos. 44,000 views. But he says this is the best Submariner homage under 300 with Pro Diver. All right, so that's positive. This Invicta's hot. Just one more watch. He's a good one to watch. Who else we get here? Just one more watch. The time teller again. Cubano. He tried to do a watch review. I think he should do more reviews. I think he has a couple watches. And then a lot of like, you know, I'm not showing up anywhere here, and I just wish that I just wish that the algorithm was set up to recommend videos where people are there's a mix there. Like a lot of these videos aren't even related to Invicta watches, you know. So I don't know what causes a video to show up, but it is what it is. People miss out on. So my recommendation is anytime you search for anything on YouTube to get more specific, I probably already know this, is search specifically for not necessarily the model number, because most YouTubers aren't going to put in the 38474 because it's not going to be. We want to get the views. We want people to find these videos, and most people aren't searching for that, right? So generally, most people are going to search for Invicta watches, right? That's the first thing that pops into your mind. But it's better to be like Invicta Pro Diver, and you're gonna get the same guys on Pro Diver, right? But if you search for like Invicta Sea Hunter, Invicta Venom, Invicta Grand Octane, more the name of the watch, you're gonna get more of the guys reviewing who actually like the brand, and I think that'll do the brand some good. I don't think Invicta really needs a lot of help. I think people know, what a nice quality watch, but still, I get people just like these folks who, just like this gentleman who says, thank you for turning out the affordable arm candy. Obviously, this statement's made because people think before discovering channels like mine that you have to spend thousands of dollars to get a good quality watch. You have to go into K Jeweler and look at those Tussauds and those, which I mean, I don't want to. Most luxury watch guys would shit on Tissot, right? But you have all these different brands that people just automatically think you have to pay more for amazing quality. One guy commented the other day. He said that he brought one of his steel dives into his like local repair guy, and the guy was like, "Oh, this is Swiss made." He's like, "No, this is Chinese, $100." And he couldn't believe it. And it's amazing that a watch guy who works on watches just hadn't even had his hands on one of these modern Chinese watches. And so it's just people need to get out of their brains here and stop thinking that we're in the 80s anymore, where Swiss made actually meant something. Now it doesn't. The stuff coming out of China is incredible. Go into any store, like, and look around at the products. Like, it's hard to find anything made anywhere else. So they do it good, and the Chinese deserve all the respect in watchmaking. And it's not like they sit back and just say, "All right, we got a good watch. Let's leave it at that." They keep getting better and better. Let's see here. AZ just said that's why I never use a drive-through. I know. I hate. I normally go in, but lesson learned. Pseudo just said I find Google broken. I had to search watches and filter by week. Page 2, I found your channel, but it's like that for most topics. So when you say you mean, excuse me. So when you say Google, you actually went to Google, or you mean YouTube? You searched for me on Google. Okay. I think I'm understanding that correctly. Perth Watch is really good. Suda just said, name the Chinese watch company, please. I mean, there's tons of Chinese watch companies. Remember, a lot of the watches that you're gonna find on like AliExpress, and Amazon and eBay. When I say Chinese watch companies, I mean brands like I don't know exactly where Invicta made, but when I say Chinese, just understand I mean like overseas in that part of the world, right? So you can lump Invicta in with that. You can lump Aragon in with that. I think Aragon might be Japanese, but no difference. I don't mean as far as the people. I mean as far as the quality of the watch, right? Looking at okay, so when we look at just like brands that are Chinese brands on those sites that you're going to see most of, Pagani Design, Bursigar, Benyar, Tactical Frog. What's the other one? Did I say Steel Dive? Steel Dive, Tactical Frog, Pagani. Let me just go there real quick here. And these are like the big players I'm talking now. There's all kinds of other brands popping up on there too from time to time. But if you just go to like AliExpress and we'll just search. What the hell? All right, we'll search automatic watch. There's a watch on my list already. And this one here, it's not Invicta, sorry folks, but San Martin, yep, Heimdallr, I think I'm saying that right. This guy, I'm not even Abdominator. I'm not gonna be rude, man, but he says, "Have you ever bought Invicta automatic watches? Are they good?" I'm not even answer that question, dude. Sorry, I gotta draw a line somewhere with some of this stuff. I understand you may be new to this chat, but you know, not sure how you found this video, but yeah, they're nice. Let's see here. So like, which one's this one here? Bernie. I have a Bernie. Uh, uh, Sarabamba. This is a newer one coming up. Parns, Parnsrpe. I'll tell you one thing these Chinese brands need to do is figure out, like, talk to somebody and figure out a good name for their watches. Pagani's great. Pagani design, great name. But Tactical Frog, that's cool. But you know, this is a Parn Snip. I don't even know how you even say that, but that's an awful name. But I would like to get one of theirs on the channel. I haven't checked those out. But again, a lot of these brands you're going to find on AliExpress are exceptional. And I mean, you just don't have to spend a lot of money for these things. Schema just said 19 Zuan. I never heard of that one. Let me check that one out. 19 Zuan. 19 Zuan. Let me see what this one looks like. That's not even on Amazon. 19 Zuan. Is that a seagull watch? Maybe it's a movement. I'm not sure. Zuan watch. Yeah, no experience there. Not my. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, not my style. I'd say that's. I'd say Pagani's gonna be nice for that, just based on the looks. But I can't really. I can't. Sorry, folks. Give me 1 second. All right. Seagull movement. Yeah, I mean, you just got to kind of take each watch as they come. I've had watches before that, which is the brand here. Where is that one? Maybe I moved it. Yeah, this one here actually. This is Fox Box. Fox Box, not the box, actually the watch here. Kind of like a vintage style piece. This was only like $13, and I mean it's incredible for 13. But when you compare a watch like that to even like a Pagani or Invicta, the bezel's loose on it. Those are the differences you can really feel with a watch. But $15, like I mean, it's incredible. Schema just laughing his ass off here. I hear Zarabamba are good watches. Yeah, Zarabamba I've heard are nice, but I feel like the price on Zarabambas are a little bit steep. You do find those on here, like let me see, I just saw one. Well, 169. That's not too bad. I feel like maybe they've come down a lot. So you just never know. You gotta keep checking up on this stuff. But Zarabamba, yeah, it's like your Richard Mille homage kind of style there. Very cool. It's interesting. This Zarabamba, um, Nubeo, excuse me, just came out with a brand new watch that is. It looks like it has this exact strap, and I do feel like sometimes, depending on the model, Nubeo, a lot of watches are similar. I mean, you can't reinvent the wheel, but I do. This looks very similar. Because you hear it all the time. Like some folks be like, "Oh, that's just like with clothing and jackets and stuff." People are like, "Oh, they just take these." Like people said about Invicta, they buy these off AliExpress and put the Invicta name on them, and that's not the case. There might be watches that are similar, and somebody might, without any real proof or real thought, say, "Oh, well, that's exactly the same watch." When it's there's no proof that it is. Like it's just like when I look at this new Bayo for 780, and we compare it to the Zarabamba, very similar in styling, but there is a difference in cosmetics. And without actually having those two watches side by side, we can't really know if they're the same or if there's a big quality difference. So just because you see something, remember AliExpress, you have to be a smart shopper. A lot of times they'll put actual watches, like they'll put an Invicta watch on there and state that this is an Invicta like homage, or they'll take the branding off it, and people are like, "Oh, look, I'm getting the exact same Joker watch." It's not. It's not at all. Az just said, Su Sugus is another pretty decent brand. Az, are they AliExpress? I've never heard of them before. So let me check them out. Sugess watch. There's always watches popping up that I've never even heard of. Let's see what they got. Find my watch. Let's see. Um, yeah, yeah, Seagull. Okay. Yep, yeah, I would say this is your. Ooh, it's a little steep here. Here's a GMT diver. 379. You can get that. I can guarantee you that watch ain't no different than a $99 Pagani. Yeah, so that's overpriced for that. 379. You can definitely get a much better value with other brands. But again, take each watch as they come. Jareth, welcome. He just said recently I bought an Aragon Hercules MD and I'm quite satisfied. Great watch, good price. Yeah, man. Aragon watches are fantastic. Let me take a look at the Aragon Hercules. Aragon's stealing some names from Invicta. No, I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody had it first, either Invicta or Aragon. I think I've heard Aragon had it first, but I'm not really. I don't know, and I honestly don't care. Um, let's see the Hercules. Oh yeah, so Aragon. This is the one that I thought this is the one Aragon. That bracelet is inspired by the Panerai. That's a Panerai bracelet all day long. Not the exact Panerai. I'm just saying their inspiration for that bracelet came from the Panerai bracelets, which I just bought one of these bracelets off AliExpress, a similar one, for like $17 and threw it on my new Pagani design Panerai homage. Looks fantastic. I need to redo that video because I have the video with the showcasing just the canvas strap it came on. It's much nicer with the bracelet. So it's pretty cool. We got 18 folks in here today. And if you're new, I apologize, but you guys are a little late to the party. The whole point of this video was just talking about, you know, whether I still like Invicta watches anymore, basically. And again, I'll always wholeheartedly recommend the brand. Invicta is always going to have something come out that I want to add to my collection. But generally, I don't buy as many Invictas anymore because it's not when you have a lot of them, you just gotta keep buying Invictas because I want to review Invictas. Like that's not gonna. Yeah, you got to buy stuff you like. Like even Aragon, I said it before. Aragon, I feel like Aragon, a lot of their watches are kind of repetitive. When I look at the different models, not to get off on a tangent about Aragon, but there's like I don't buy a lot of Aragons anymore because when I look at what they make, they all look very similar. When you go through the anti-gravity tourbillon, I'm like, all right, 980, okay, go through here. Here's a GMT, kind of like a Rolex homage almost. Hercules, again, that looks just like. I mean, I don't mean to sound like they're just exactly the same watch, but they're not. There's not a lot of difference in um, in how they're making these. They just don't like. Show this one here, like slight bezel variation, 3-link bracelet. Um, which is this one here? Yeah, I mean they're just slightly different. I do like the new millipede. That's kind of cool. I feel like the millipede's one of those Aragon watches that they constantly make um, different design style changes on them. Like the new one, pretty cool, but 300. I mean, I'm not going to spend 300 on it. I mean, if that goes on sale for 150, I might pick that up. But what else we got here? I will say the Concept S I think is pretty cool, but it's on like rubber or canvas, whatever that is, with like a Tiffany blue face. 175. That'll probably go down in price. That one I have been eyeballing, but I would like to throw it on a bracelet. I think it would look a lot nicer. The Aragon DF45. Let's look at that one. Yeah, the Enforcer again. I think I have an Enforcer somewhere. Anti gravity. Again, not a lot of difference. I like this one here is a great deal. The Concept S, the different Concept S. This is only $130. I've been wanting that one in my collection for a while. Throw it on a nice bracelet. It would look sick. Very unique. What else we got here? The tourbillons, Evos. Yeah, they just don't. They're just kind of repetitive. A lot of the stuff that they make. But I don't know. Still a great brand. Don't get me wrong. Jareth just said, "Do you know Batiscafo? A microburn only two models, ATM, both in bronze. They're limited numbered. I own a 047. I think it's great. Let me take a look at that and see what that looks like. I think I've heard of that name before. I assume it's Italian. A Kickstarter. Okay. Oh yeah, I've actually been seeing this one pop up on social media lately. Yeah, I've been eyeballing that one. However, Tactical Frog just came out with a copy of that one. Very, or is that the right one? Hang on, let me look at the other one. I might be looking at the. I thought they had their own website. Oh, there it is. Store. Let's see what they got here. Ooh, a little pricey. Their site. Let's see this one here. See which one you got. The 047. 047. What is the conversion on that? 319. Is that British pound? I don't even know what that is. Conversion. Uh, Currency symbols. I gotta look that up. What's that? Euro. Okay. Is that right? Euro. Yeah, 329 euros, 329 euro to USD, 347. Okay, not too bad. Their Quadro 45 is pretty cool. Very different. But all right, here's the thing. I like the bronze, but I have a few bronze watches. And with bronze, it's almost like you're limited to wearing them on a strap of some sort, whether it be, shark mat or not shark mesh, like canvas. It has a very like worn look. I think it's a very unique watch, whether you get the 047 or the Quadro 45. I think the price on that, not too bad for a bronze watch. But I just wish they would do. I'm not really. I used to. Let me just, I used to really be like, oh man, I need some bronze watches, and I have a Delta T, the NBS in bronze. And what I found is that I'm constantly switching the strap out, and it's just because as a guy who likes a bracelet, that's kind of the downside to bronze. Like you're really stuck to using like wearing either canvas, leather. You can throw a bracelet on there, but it's not going to match. Nobody that I've been able to find makes a bronze bracelet for those watches. I think there's like one company who makes an all bronze watch, but it's the same thing. I have one of the Boulder watches in brass. Very unique, but I'm just more of a bracelet guy, and I probably wouldn't buy one of these just for that reason. But it's still a very cool looking watch, and I know Tactical Frog just came out. I'm pretty sure they did. Let's see, Tactical. It might have been Steel Dive too. Tactical Frog watch, or one of those brands just came out with like a copy of that. I don't know who came up with it first, but um, yeah, it's unique. Definitely has that like very worn, weathered pirate kind of style watch. I dig it, but I'll take it for free and wear it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna spend my money on it. But it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Jared said beware of copies. He said, I see your point. Usually I use canvas or silicones on bronze. Yeah. It's just not much else looks good on them. I guess there's a lot that looks good on when you look at all the different straps out there you can get. I mean, nice brown, but it seems like you have to go with like brown or like a like a dark beige. You kind of need those earthy tones on a bronze watch. I did put, like I said, on my NBS, I did put silver stainless shark mesh on it. It just never really. I put that. I I actually regret getting that watch in bronze, to be honest with you. And I always say every time I look at that watch and wear it, I say I should have got the stainless steel version because then you could put it on one of the many stainless steel bracelets and had just the look that I prefer. But don't get me wrong, it's still it's still badass, um, still a unique watch, and maybe I should reach out see if I can get my hands on one. Tactical Frog's actually got a pretty good sale going on right now. They got their Doxa versions. They got their black sub 300 version, which is pretty nice. Um, yeah, they get some good deals. It's too bad I haven't been able to work with Tactical Frog on any of their watches. I only have, I think I had one or maybe two of them, but yeah, definitely a cool brand as well. And again, that's another one of those Chinese brands. What's this one? Hero Land Watches. Let me see what these are. They have another brand under their brand. Interesting. They have an affiliate program. I have to check that out. Yeah, it's just too bad. I wish they made something in like nobody. I mean, I have not been able to find it. Nobody makes a bronze watch bracelet, and I feel like if somebody did, I feel like it would do pretty well, or at least somebody to come out with one that's like a simulated bronze. Like nobody makes that color combination, so you're either gonna be going with like rose gold or stainless. I mean, gold, regular gold's not gonna look right. So that's the downside to bronze, but they are pretty cool. I always appreciate when companies use like exotic materials in their watches, whether it be gold or silver is hard to find, but like um, like well, platinum, of course the regular super expensive luxury type materials, but then you got like the bronze, brass, pretty cool. Jared just said, I love your videos. I'm from Italy. This is my first time I see you live. Oh, well, welcome, man. It's always interesting how I pop up on people's feeds and where people are popping in from. Yeah, it's kind of like I enjoy doing these because it's my way of just kind of like shooting the shit, just live, real time, answering questions, and yeah, I mean it's fun to see what people collect, and I learn stuff too. Like I mean, there's been what 4 brands um, suggested to me today that I've never heard of. So I'll definitely check those out. And I always reach out to brands, and see if they're willing to send a watch. Sometimes I have to really bug them. Other times they send it no problem. It just really depends. I'm fortunate with like the Dartmouth brands, just because they have what 4 or 5 different brands under that umbrella, and I pretty much just reach out then weekly whenever they get something new on their site. I just ask my contact and say, hey, do you have this? And if they have it, they send it. It's pretty awesome, and it's a great way for me to get more in my collection, of course, and more content and bring a lot of recognition to these cool brands out there. And I like that they understand that, because you're not gonna sending watches to the guys who are like the big YouTube channels are really, it's just different. They just don't review these watches in an honest light. Ian just said, I was recently gifted a Pagani design PD1716 blackface. I'm amazed at the level of quality for $142 after tax shipping. Thank you for the videos. I enjoy them all. I don't think, well, you are most welcome. And I don't think you enjoy them all because I have like almost I think there's like 1350. A lot of videos. I was going through my analytics yesterday a little bit. I mean, I always do that, but it's amazing how many videos don't get found anymore. I mean, just lots of Invicta content, and a lot of great, like, let me just see here. Let's just go to watch review. So under providing, I did use the word watch and review in the title. I have 334 watch reviews, and the most recent stuff you're gonna see a lot of new Bayo because I get their watches pretty much on a weekly basis. So then you'll see the other ones pop in here like the Earnshaws, the Bauhaus watch by Dufa, Duxo's, Wootson watch. It's like an AliExpress one I picked up, and the Invicta Pro Diver, Mr. Perez got me last year. Sterling, CCCP, Villamont. That's a pretty cool. I think the Villamont has the Salida in it. Again, only 372 views on that one. And this one here is an awesome watch. It's skeletonized. It's let me just double check that here. It's a brand that you just don't see like anywhere. They only make one watch. It's like a case and cradle, carbon and titanium, I think it is. Yeah, Salida SW200 movement. I mean, killer watch. Here is the link. Bam, badass. Spinnaker, Invicta, Age Locker Tourbillon, Aquaseas Bronze Watch. Only 920 views on that one. CCCP, RGMT. They've been out of stock on a lot of stuff, but that's another Dartmouth brand. RGMT watches are killer. And it's amazing. Full disclosure, all the RGMT clicks I consistently get, I don't think I've ever referred to one sale. So people are buying them, but they're just not buying them through the website, I think. Invicta, here's an Invicta one. Here, I did one, what was that? May 12th, 2022, the gold drip sub-aqua specialty with the gemstones. Killer watch. Ballast watches. Here's the Aragon Millipede. That's the 55 that I got rid of. A couple of Batman homages by Thyssen, another Chinese brand, Thyssen. Neymar, Pagani, Addis Dive, Ligi, Vincero, Hello Ice, Vincero, Exoskeleton. That's a lot of watches. Yeah, so like tons of Invicta content in the last 2 years. Techno Marine, there is a ton of content on the channel and lots of really great brands. Jared just said, talking about brass and bronze watches, I had an awful experience with Marantz. Broken after 2 months. No replies from customer service. Don't buy from them guys. Well, that's too bad. I'm surprised that company's been around for a little while. Let me just take a look here. Marantz. Doxa Marantz. What is this one? Marantz. Oh, they have a Doxa homage as well. Interesting. Yeah, and this kind of I'm gonna go to their Instagram here. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I'm not sure what broke on it, whether it was the movement or it broke after 2 months. I'd like to know a little bit more about what broke. It's pretty hard to break a watch, and they are so reliable. I feel like this brand is just another another. It's like the same watch as like a Pagani or a Tactical Frog, made in like probably the same factories, just with a different brand on. Yeah, that looks to me very similar to my Tactical Frog. A little different, but yeah, interesting. I'll have to reach out to them. But when you look at like their styles, they have a bronze kind of Tactical Frog, or not Tactical Frog, a Doxa style watch. Pretty cool. I love that vintage case. Like it's just it's so I don't know. I really prefer more angles, and the vintage style, like the 70s inspired watches, for me a lot more attractive than like your Submariner style watches. Let's see here. Trey just said I tuned in late. I was saying that you answered my question basically. Oh, okay, good man. Yeah, I try to. Yeah. Um, He said Jared said movement stopped working. Maybe I've been unlucky with the customer care. Is terrible. Oh, it's too bad. Yeah, I would try to hit him up on like Instagram or something like that. And but that's the thing. See, that's kind of the thing. Sometimes you might, I can't speak to their customer service, or I just don't have any experience with them. But I will state that what did I have? I did have. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I did have an issue with is it the Tyvise? Or maybe it was Ligi. And one thing you have to be careful of too is when you're spending $100 for a watch, it's not that much money, but still it's $100. And I had a problem with the crown and setting that it was like a red and black Submariner homage. I think it was Tyvise or Ligi, one of the two. And I reached out to I bought it on AliExpress, and I reached out to them and they wouldn't do anything, right? And they said, and then I reached out directly to the manufacturer and they said, oh, that's not that's not our brand. Like we don't have. So a lot of times these brands will sell these watches on AliExpress, but their warranty only protects you if you're buying it directly from authorized manufacturer. So just got to keep that in mind. At least with Invicta, if you buy from like Invicta stores through my link, um, you know, you're going to get a watch that if you have a problem with it, like you're going to be covered under Invicta's warranty. And I've never used the Invicta warranty service, but I've been told by several people who have that like they were very impressed at how the whole process worked by like stepping stones. Like you were informed along the entire process. Now I can't confirm that. That's just going off what I was told. But like from when you sent the watch to shipping to received, watches being inspected, watches being repaired, estimated time of completion, like it took you through this whole process for you getting your watch back. Fortunately, I've never had any problems with the Invictus, and the one problem I did have, I just didn't bother to get it fixed. So, but good to know. But all right, folks. Well, we've been on for an hour and a half. I do thank each and every one of you guys for stopping by, popping in, sharing this time with me, and asking the questions. As always, if you guys have any questions about this product, my email address is in the description of every single video. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'll always respond to you folks and try to answer the question. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to get you the answer. And remember, lots of great watches out there. Be careful who you watch. Be careful the fake news that you hear on YouTube. Oh, AZ just said, hang on, I gotta check this out real quick. AZ just said Invicta 25199 Invicta as a bronze bracelet. Ooh, oh, it's Invicta Disney. Is that right? Invicta Disney limited edition Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if that's bronze, man. That might be a bronze plating. Yeah, case tone bronze. Yeah, that to me, that sure as hell wouldn't match any bronze watch I have. That bracelet's like very proprietary to the finish on that case, but still pretty cool. But it's a good looking watch. See that one there, that themed watch is very subtle. Like I would rock that. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching. As always, have a fantastic day and take care.